What's going on, guys? My name is Jonathan Rivera. I am a uh, bachelor student studying human services, a generalist, no specialization. This is for the class Addiction Family Counseling at University College, and my presentation is about family and addiction dynamics in Requiem for a Dream. Okay, there we go. Okay, so in the film, we follow four main characters: Harry, Sarah, his mother, Marlon, his girlfriend, and Tyrone, his friend. However, we're going to be obviously following Harry Goldfarb because he has more of a system in the film, but he has his mother, his girlfriend, and Tyrone. Versus these other characters in the film, it's when they are brought up in the screen or they're in it, they don't really have much of a family or a system dynamic going on there. But it follows performing characters, but arguably Harry is the main character, Harry and Sarah. Anyways, Harry Goldfarb, he is addicted to heroin, and he is also socially isolated with his mother and girlfriend and Tyrone in the film. He doesn't have a father that we know of in the film, presumably dead or not really there. He's not really mentioned at all in the film, so it's hard to say what's going on with his father. However, Harry, he is the addict. He's a scapegoat. He, takes heroin to deal with his problems he has going on, which is his problems are from his heroin, right? Sarah is his mother. She is the enabler. She supports him no matter what, right? She's his mother. She loves him. He loves her. She supports him no matter what, even though she doesn't really know what he's doing per se in the film. Marlon, his girlfriend, she's the co-addict or lost child. She uses pretty frequently. Actually, Harry gets her hooked onto heroin in the film, but she comes from a good family. But she chooses to be out and about and to love Harry despite his social circle and the way he lives. Tyrone is a co-addict in the film. He gets Harry introduced to heroin in the film, and they use together in the film. Looking at Harry in depth, he's in his 20s. Hard to say, young 20s obviously, because he looks young. He kind of immature in a way. For his occupation, he is a drug dealer. He begins selling with Tyrone, and Tyrone actually introduces him to heroin, where Tyrone brings heroin over to his apartment. Harry is there, and they plan to sell drugs to become rich and make this money. And Tyrone says that they have to use the heroin to see if it's a good product, good enough to sell, and that's how they get hooked on it, right? Heroin's a very addictive drug. Recovery rate is single digits. His film doesn't have his father, and he is emotionally dependent on his mother. He has a history of drug experimentation. He drinks, smokes marijuana with Tyrone and his girlfriend. Uses it with Tyrone, and he fluctuates with contemplation and action. In the film, we see that he tells himself this is the last time using, he's not going to use again. However, he always falls back into using when times get stressful or when stuff goes wrong. When looking at theory frameworks that I think could be used for Harry, Bowen family systems theory can really highlight his emotional reactivity to when things go wrong or when he wants to feel better. He resorts to it so we can highlight this and teach him better ways of coping. And it can also highlight his dependency on his mother for emotional, to feel better about himself. He goes to his mother, but he's still not really telling her what's going on, right? He just goes there to give her money and to have her praise him, right? But she doesn't know what he's really doing. Looking at cognitive behavioral family therapy, that could be used to help reframe Harry's thoughts of having to sell drugs to become successful, right? Because in this loop of selling drugs and using drugs, right? Using heroin, selling heroin, but he thinks that what he needs to do to become successful is sell heroin. So we can change his thought process to where he sees that he doesn't need to sell drugs, where he can work a normal job, where he can go to school, get money for his family doing that stuff versus selling drugs. We can also use solution focus brief therapy. But it's in the film that Harry wants to open up a clothing store with his girlfriend. That's like one of his goals. That's why he's selling drugs so he can get enough money to do this. However, um, this goal kind of gets thrown out the window with him as his addiction grows stronger, and same with his girlfriend, right? It was a goal they had together, but they both get addicted to heroin, and they, it caused self-destruction. So if he had gone to therapy in the film, I believe this could have been used for him. We could set up a goal where he stays clean. He saves up money where he can open up a clothing store, have a stable income, have a stable life, or he can, build on his goal. On this assessments slide, I wasn't really sure what to put down, because we do know he's using in the film, right? So like a hair and blood test won't be too necessary. However, assessments I think that are a little bit nuanced is using a FAB assessment, and that just measures the family functioning across multiple domains. And for this, I think it would have been useful to have obviously his mother Sarah, but also his girlfriend Marlon, and address what's going on between those domains. So like, how can his mother support him in recovery, and how Sarah can support him and also become clean as well. Also, addictions, every index can be used to address the impact on the relationships and financial issues, right? Because he's selling drugs to become financially, rich, but obviously with selling drugs, it's never stable. And the address the impact on the relationship with his mother, where he's like hiding his addiction he was doing for work, but also his mother is also addicted to fat loss pills. And if you watch the film, you will see that the whole film is about addiction. Across from every character in the film is addicted to something, right? Whether it's heroin, weight loss, or like a behavioral thing of Tyrone trying to prove himself to his deceased mother. Interventions that I believe could have been used for Harry: cognitive behavioral therapy to develop better coping skills and tolerance to stress, and like help his emotional regulation of finding this happiness within himself, and to not feel the stress of trying to provide for his girlfriend and his mother. Motivational interviewing could also be used for Harry to address some ambivalence and his desire for a better life, but his constant avoidance of confronting pain in his life. Solution-focused therapy could also be used for Harry to help establish his future goals, build confidence with small wins, such as him opening the clothing store and celebrate him and his girlfriend being clean. Barriers in counseling. One is his girlfriend is also addicted to heroin, addicted to heroin as well. So that's a big barrier, right? But if your social circle is other addicts, it's going to be hard, right? Because as we see when addicts get out of treatment, they go back to the same, corner shop. They go hang out with the same people again, and they're back in that social circle. The chance of relapse is super high, right? So, a lack of a stable social support group. Also, he's not a rich guy. That's why he's selling drugs, right? So financially, it's really difficult for him to find quality treatment or just treatment in general, right, to be able to afford it. Also, like social stigma about heroin addiction or his addiction in general, right? The film was based in New York, so you might feel this pressure of going to treatment and feeling judgment, right? Also, just resistance to feeling guilty to going to treatment to actually mainly he's addicted, right? That's a big thing as well. When looking at local resources, there's a ton in Florida. I'm based in Okeechobee, so the nearest one for me is New Horizons. However, there's ones outside of here, like in West Palm, of course, Lucy and Stewart, right? Like Center for Family Services of Palm Beach, Families Anonymous. Emma Recovery Center, and the Ephes Recovery Center as well. With natural resources, there's a ton of them, right? I mean, national, think about all of America, right? Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, National Alliance on Mental Illness, Narrow Annan Family Groups, Partnership to an Addiction, and Shatterproof. I also have the website links listed as well if you want to visit, read up on it, look at it, maybe reference somebody you may know going through addiction or recovery that wants extra support. And in conclusion, Harry's case shows how untreated family dysfunction is just going to fuel relapse and suffering, right? Because in the whole film, Harry, his girlfriend, his best friend, his mother, they're all addicted to something. Harry and Tyrone and Marlon is all heroin. For his mother, it's fat loss pills. Everyone is addicted to something, and just the chances of relapse are so high. The suffering is this very dark film. It's hard to watch. Systematic models in healing involves the whole family to come clean, right? Because everyone's addicted. They all need to be clean. They all need to be strong together to ensure that never relapse. And it also shows how disruptive family roles and mental illness reinforce one another. And obviously, with it being Harry and his mother, it's the roles in the family are dysfunctional, right? No father figure, no older brother, no younger sister, younger brother. There's really nothing there for him, right? Just him and his mother. It also shows how supportive community wraparound services are essential for recovery, right? If Harry were to go into even a support group, right, he could have found a sense of meaning there, found a new job, found that community support to become clean, though he doesn't, and it's a tragic ending that he has in the film. But that's my presentation. Hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.